Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, one of WWE's top new babyfaces has been revealed.
We've got a Raw starting in big backstage praise from WWE.
Got an AEW star growing in backstage political power.
And CM Punk to WWE. What would the top stars think?
I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the news. Let's kick things off by talking a little WWE today, specifically WWE SmackDown. The new WWE roster board, the internal listings of how they rank and position everyone on their cards is out. And LA Knight is the top babyface on SmackDown. Very nice indeed. Yes. This is according to WrestleVotes, who tweeted, I'll just quote it to you. The latest talent board, which is used internally, saw an update post-payback. Interesting news from the SmackDown side lists LA Knight as the top babyface. In addition, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are now categorized as heels. They're heels, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
WrestleVotes noted in the replies as well when someone asked about Io Sky, who's number one in the women's division, heel-wise, Io Sky. There you go. She's the champion. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. You'd imagine that Roman Reigns is the top heel on the men's side because he's a champion. Yeah. That's how these things work. But it's cool to know that LA Knight is now seen in that regard internally in the company because I think the Miz feud's been going on. Payback match was decent, maybe a little bit too long. Maybe they could have trimmed that just a while. But there's been some good material in the build up to it. They're obviously both excellent on the microphone and they bounced off each other well. Nonetheless, I feel like a lot of people looked at that feud and went, "Hey, LA Knight is extremely hot. Maybe he should be doing something that isn't such a placeholdery type thing." And I think that's a very fair thing to say. It's the Miz, for God's sake. Yeah. He's been the same thing for years and years and years. That's not to say he isn't good. He is, clearly, or he wouldn't be in the company. But it's like, this guy was getting paid for Money in the Bank success recently, and Priest has turned out to be an excellent winner of that, of course. But it's cool to see him in that spot, and it bodes well for him going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting with LA Knight at the moment, isn't it? Because it seems like unanimously everybody is saying you've got to go with LA Knight. But the one thing people aren't talking about is how far do you go with him? Nobody can quite figure out the level. The matches are what they are, but the promos are what they are. And I think if you hear a story like this and you're plugged in, and we're all plugged in to a degree, and you hear this watching our video, it's going to make you think, well, if WWE are backing him, I can continue to back him. Yeah. Maybe the Miz thing does feel like a gatekeeper. Maybe winning a Slim Jim Battle Royal instead of Money in the Bank is a bit of a half in, half out. This isn't. This is a real commitment. It might just be for now rather than forever. But I think if you're an LA Knight backer and you still want him to go all the way to the top, or at least to hit that Roman Reigns ceiling, you should feel encouraged that that's what WWE are right now thinking too.
Let us know what you think of LA Knight down below. Should he be pushed? Should he go to the moon? Is he fine where he is? Should he get the US title? Should he get the world title? Let us know down below.
Somebody else that's also earning praise in WWE at the moment is Zoe Stark. This is coming from Fightful, who report that obviously since she left NXT for the main roster earlier this year, she's been drawing praise, good reviews for her matches, for her physicality, and obviously how she's been handled alongside Trish Stratus and dealing with the pressure of going in against the main eventer like Becky Lynch.
That pressure.
Yeah, that pressure. Who can, of course, forget that broken nose that Becky Lynch suffered on Zoe's first night. We've seen how in the past wrestlers maybe sort of suffer a lack of confidence or themselves are downplayed by the company. This hasn't happened with Stark, and it seems as if both sides are incredibly happy with how things have gone. She's been with the company since 2021 and has largely enjoyed this kind of praise throughout her run. She was sidelined for quite a while with what looked like a really serious MCL injury, came back as a babyface, but has spent all the time on the main roster so far as kind of I would say WWE's closest equivalent to Jamie Hayter. Just a hard-kicking, ass-kicking heel that you can tell is eventually going to be a monster babyface. It's nice to hear this. It's nice when, like with LA Knight, I guess, fans and company are simpatico on a wrestler. It's good to hear it's sort of being felt backstage, and there's not this, we don't need any more push and pull with wrestlers we like doing.
No, exactly. And I think it's quite evident look at, pardon me, from storyline terms, look at the people she's been working with. Legends, champions and the Hall of Famers, Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch. Ally, enemy, obviously her and Trish had their split, it looked like, at Payback, and it looks like Zoe's going off in a new direction there as well. So it shows the faith that they have in her. A lot of praise for her, the way she kind of came back from the injury. Torn ACL, that's nothing to mess with. And I say that as a guy who the most serious injury I've ever suffered is a hangnail. So I can't really...
right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real...
Hanging off my cuticle.
Yeah, I almost took a day off, man. It's mental. But yeah, I'm very high on her. I think she's great. Maybe a little of refinement to do in the promo department, perhaps. I think that's fair. But that's why, people learn as they go and they grow into these roles. And she's grown incredibly quickly. And I think in a couple of years, she's going to be one of the best wrestlers on the entire roster, quite frankly. She's awesome.
It's felt like Gura broken, because you can't fault both Trish in the end of the match on Payback on Saturday and Becky Lynch in singles matches. They both worked to get her over. This program existed as much for her as it did for the two massive stars contesting it. So WWE obviously have kind of had this one figured from the moment they brought her up.
WE, good stuff. You'll love to see it. And you know what else you'll love to see? Our friend Joe's running the Great North Run this weekend. Yes. Times are tough. I know it's difficult, but if you've got a few coins here and there you can spare, check out his link down in the comment section below. Lovely guy. We met him in Cardiff.
Yes.
In Newport.
Good
Legend.
Luck.
Good luck, Joe. Big step. 5k is too much, just enough for me. So I respect anyone who can do more. Link down below. Thank you if you can help. Let's move on to our next story of the day. Who's getting political power? Who's growing in influence in AEW? Who's becoming the guy?
Braun Strowman.
Braun Strowman. Bryan Danielson.
Good.
Not a huge surprise, but PW Insider's Mike Johnson reporting that over the past 6 weeks or so, Danielson's taken on responsibility to try and facilitate things between talent. He's growing in influence, growing in political power in the company. It goes to before All In. You might look at All In and see that blow up and go, okay, he's stepping into the breach. Sounds like it happened before then. With regards to that assumption, obviously the events of All In led to CM Punk getting fired, and we've since learned that Danielson's effectively going to take his place on Collision because he's got family and it's a better schedule for him. Fair play. He's very hands-on with his children's schooling. It's great stuff. But Danielson as well, a few weeks ago it was reported that he'd been helping with the booking on Collision as well. Tony Khan commented recently as well that if something were to happen to him, Danielson's the guy he would say to his dad, hey, he'll run the show.
Yeah.
He'll run the show, which is quite interesting because he's got three executive vice presidents who are probably like, hold on a minute. Danielson attracts nothing but admiration for his behind-the-scenes stuff. It was the same in WWE when he was helping out over there. Now it's over here. Everyone loves the guy. I can see why. He comes across as a very affable, very fun man. I also think... and wrestling ability isn't always an indication of how well they're going to do backstage, right? But at the same time, I think that Bryan Danielson is the active wrestler who has the best case for a greatest of all time argument. I think he's quite far ahead of everyone else, actually, from active wrestlers. And you can tell from the level of detail and thought that he puts into his work that should translate into like a figurehead type role and stuff. So... I'm happy for him. I'm happy for AEW. I think that if Tony Khan needs anything in AEW, it is someone to take a big chunk of responsibility away from him. And if Danielson's doing some talent relation stuff on top of some creative stuff, that's a very good sign.
Yeah, obviously we don't know what these people are like in real life, and it's all based on our perception of stories that we've had in the past. But look, Danielson's training wheels in this kind of role were in WWE when he tried most prominently to get Drew Gulak over and get the Intercontinental title over when he was doing it on SmackDown. He has a taste, he has a style. We've seen elements of that on Collision already. And everything you've ever heard about him is that, in contrast to the person we're going to speak about next and the person we've not been able to stop speaking about lately, he's far more of a people person in terms of an experienced hand on the tiller that knows the way he wants a product to look.
Yeah.
He's probably slightly better. Am I taking that much of a leap? Slightly better at getting that message out to peers than other significant figures in that spot? Less divisive?
Yeah, whatever positive things you can say about CM Punk, and we've said a lot, we're massive Punk guys. Let that never be lost in all of this. But not the best at conflict resolution. His method is very much catch me outside.
Our views on Punk, we've always said this, warts and all, the warts are massive. That's the reality, isn't it? Daniel Bryan does not, Bryan Danielson over the last however many years, nearly 20 in business, hasn't really shown a lot of warts. So he and has earned the respect of obviously all of the people he's going to be working with. Plenty on that roster have come up watching him, so already got that inbuilt respect from him as a talent, let alone the peers that have come to know him and know him better than we all do. So I'm very keen to watch this play out, quite honestly. I hope he's in this role for a long time to come and we get to see if he, it's a football thing, isn't it? Not necessarily all the great players definitely become great coaches and managers, but like in wrestling, we've seen it with the likes of Dusty Rhodes, and pending what you think of them as a talent, Triple H,
Bill Watts.
There
you go.
The Cowboys are going to make a whole lot of money with that.
Totally got to the 90s.
So yeah, there's plenty of precedent for like legendary figures becoming just as influential behind the scenes. I'm all for it.
Me too. The game Triple H.
The game Triple H. The original Tall Paul. Speaking of one of the original Tall Paul's most prominent rivals, how long can that last? Because we're on, again, as we were earlier this week, to CM Punk in WWE. It goes beyond, obviously, the rumours and the speculation now to PW Insider via their Elite service being able to report back what some WWE top stars might think of this. Of course, no names are named. But in light
I did put Seth Rollins in the thumbnail on the website. You know why. You all know why.
Look, Seth Rollins has been, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but he had a take on what CM Punk would be to the locker room that you've probably all seen. He's been fairly out front about his
I do wish we'd use a different word for those things.
Let's get away from that, but you know the point you're making.
At the same time, it's fun seeing people crap all over each other. So.
I kind of think it's part of this business. But so we've got from PW Insider via Elite that some within WWE are, including some major names this was, are, quote, adamantly against the idea. I wonder which snappily dressed figure in particular they may be referring to. But on the other side, there's a positive camp that says, quote, a chance to make big money, with one unnamed top star saying he's, quote, going to be all for it. Well, what do you want to talk about? I don't know, again, speculation on my part.
We should stress 1,000 times over, we're not tying Cody Rhodes.
Nobody knows anything.
We're taking the piss. Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes.
It's telephone, telegram, telewrestler. It would be mad to think that, Punk, who's got friends in WWE, he's worked there, worked for Fox as recently as 2019. Of course, people will be sending text messages. Of course, people will be having conversations, clandestine little sounding outs. Punk was backstage at Raw this year, making amends with The Miz and catching up with Tamina and stuff. Wrestlers and mates, there's going to be all of this. You're going to get probably more stories like this as the speculation builds as to whether or not Da Punk is going to return to Da Fed. It's good juice, and I think Punk himself will probably want to, he doesn't care, but he probably wants to know what the kind of what the sounding board would be, you would imagine.
He understands how the media game works. He's very savvy with this stuff, and hopefully we get clarification of a non-compete clause for him, because that'll clear a lot of this stuff up, obviously. We're back to the days of CM Punk return, every other month or whatever. Just like the period between 2014 and 2021. Here we go again, baby. The cycle, wrestling is a flat circle, just like time. And as the true detective in this case, I don't know where this is going. I've turned into Mauro Ranallo.
I'll just keep doing this until you
the Wanderlei Silva. It's fun to think about who these names could be. That's why we're just sitting here bollocking about Seth. The thing about Seth Rollins is he said those things about CM Punk. Seth Rollins knows what he's doing. I bet if Punk came in, Seth Rollins would change the narrative on a flip. He'd be straight up, yeah, me and him don't see eye to eye. We got to fight each other in the ring.
I mean, I'm beating him. I'm beating him. That's the Roman Reigns. Remember, he was one of the first to call out Punk as a supposed draw when it was all the he had the needle mover t-shirt and stuff. There's stuff out there. There's plenty of sort of and again, you don't have to work too hard to draw lines to who Punk might be on terms with up there, and who might not be such as big a fan. So
Triple H and Vince McMahon are probably quite near the top of that list.
None of the major names, from what I can see. So.
The Miz is good. So hey,
it's up to you, obviously, how you engage with this. But I think it's if you're gonna enjoy the circus element of pro wrestling, and we certainly do, I think you're allowed to dive in with both feet on this one.
Yeah, you're allowed to enjoy the chaos and the product.
If there's been enough misery around the CM Punk story, this can be the other side of that, can't it?
There you go. Yeah. Right, let's move on to the questions of the day. These come from the thread. I've put a thread up on the YouTube community for the rest of the week. If you want to ask us a question this week, dive in there. You might get chosen. The first one comes from...
Work. How do you do it? You just log on there and ask questions.
Just work my absolute arse off. Connor Chameleon has been on. Connor's been on recently as well. He's sending in some good questions, this old chameleon. Hello, Andy, and hopefully Mike Graff. No one wants Mike Graffo and Connor.
Raffone is a piece of garbage.
Yeah, he's such a bigot. Man.
He's so much trouble.
He's a piece of
Raffone is bad news.
Yeah, he's fired. What are the top wrestling events or venues on your bucket list that you would that would make you feel you could retire from watching wrestling, so like attending live. What do you most want to see? For me, I just booked my flight to Japan, and I'm finally going to the Tokyo Dome. After this, I'll just read a book or something.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
That's class,
Go on the egg. Well, because I'm fed till I die, I would love to see a Rumble in person. Like, I want to count 10 seconds 30 times. 60 now with 2 Rumbles. Like, I want to be a part of that. I want to watch somebody point at a sign. Venue-wise, I wasn't prepared to pay 4 figures for it in 2018, but like the Manhattan Centre.
Yeah.
Either see something either in the venue that we associate with Raw or the Hammerstein Ballroom from ECW days, something in that building, because I've been there and they like kind of let you mill around in reception, but knowing those 2 historic rooms were just above me and I couldn't get in them. Those would be a personal one.
Rumble and Hammerstein for me are right near the top. Tokyo Dome 100%, Kurikan Hall as well, Sumo Hall. I need all 5 of those before Arena Mexico. Just 'cause the atmosphere for CMLL, like 3 times a week, is incredible. It's unreal. Daly's place.
Genuinely, like that's left something with me from the pandemic. And
Crown Jewel?
Nope.
Didn't think so.
No.
Chad W.C. Michaels been on.
Sunderland rejects you, Jordan Henderson.
Yeah, what a prick, by the way. Chad W.C. Michaels been on. Shouts to Chad. He's been sending us questions for years. Legend.
Thanks, Chad.
We'd like to know, has CM Punk destroyed his legacy or cemented his legacy?
I don't know. Like, I think he's confirmed his legacy, maybe. Like, how many times have we said this? This AEW run was the quintessential CM Punk story, and I don't know if I'm saying that from somebody that, like, we were both there for his final match in Wembley Stadium, no less, against Samoa Joe, no less, with a Pepsi plunge, no less. You kind of felt like you got the perfect closing point in the story. If people don't feel like they've had that closure with Punk, I can understand why they're more just disappointed that it went the way it went. The man, I love him, cannot do this for long periods anymore. That's just, even if he goes back to WWE, and I'm a champion for it, like, get him on those Lesnar dates, get him on those like short-term dates. I don't want him on the road every week. I don't know, but I loved what we got, and I think it's a welcome addition to an insane CV.
Yeah, I got closure on CM Punk in 2014, honestly, and I've seen the past couple of years as just like bonus tracks at the end of the album, but I've obviously enjoyed them a lot, and I usually skip bonus tracks, so that's terrible. Deluxe editions kind of suck.
I don't like deluxe editions, yeah.
No, me neither.
I don't need like a 3.5 minute studio recording when the proper version's better.
Yeah, and it's like a real pain in the ass as well when they release it on like vinyl, and instead of like 1 or 2 LPs, you get like 4, and it's like, no, leave me be.
300 quid.
Yeah, would you like to remortgage your house? So for me, right, I think he cemented his legacy in good and bad ways, because it's been a microcosm of everything that this bloke is. Wonderful work on screen, blowing up off screen, just on a much smaller scale, condensed over 2 years. You can go all the way back to his Ring of Honor days. Do you remember his blog?
Oh boy, live journal.
Yeah, his live journal account where it was like just an open shoot interview every week. Yeah. Like, he's been doing this forever. So for me, he has cemented his legacy, because his legacy is one of the realest pro wrestlers of all time, and a backstage firebrand who stands up for what he believes in, but has a quite abrasive way about doing it and falls out with people.
The Cauliflower Alley Club speech is absolutely worth a watch if you get the chance, but half an hour long. He's such an engaging public speaker, isn't he? Two sides of the man. Complicated man. Supports a lot of great causes. Yeah. We've seen that a lot recently, particularly with the trans rights things that he's publicly supported. And he's been doing that for ages and ages and ages. He has never been shy of going, I believe in this, I'm going to use my platform to spread it and do some good. He also, like, interpersonally, doesn't deal with conflict management too well. He's a complex human being, and I think that has been really highlighted over. Look, I love CM Punk. Was CM complex man all along? He was. It was never chick magnet, was it? Yeah, I can't say I would want to work with him, but I love the guy, and that's okay. Yeah, both those things can be true. Great music taste as well, CM Punk. Yeah. Final question of the day comes from Kevin Randall, who's been on. Greetings from Florida. Hello, I love Florida. Florida's watch out for them. Watch out for them gators. There's some big boys. Best state in the world, man. It's the best. You got a lot of scary animals, brother. I love your town, but wow, it's mental. Like, the other thing I love most about Florida is that they live like with these prehistoric killing machines like a meter away, and they think that's normal. But like, it's ace. But like, it's a compromise, isn't it? It's like alligators that could kill you at your doorstep. Disney and Universal at your doorstep. 30 degrees. Like International Drive. Like, that's where I'd eat to die. Top golf. Let's go. Good golf. I feel like AEW has not presented the TBS or TNT titles well. The Cageosaurus story even feels like its time is done. What are your thoughts on this? Can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, unfortunately. Like, there's too many belts in AEW that has probably since the launch of the international title, but ironically it shows with Orange Cassidy's run that you can elevate any title. These can be saved, but it will be, in my opinion, at the expense of something else. We saw when they were trying to push the trios titles that the tag belts took a back step. That has kind of flipped a little bit this year if you look at the booking of the divisions. There's too many titles, something will always suffer, and right now it's those two, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think the TNT titles reputation has taken a big knock over the past couple of years with the way it's been thrown around without rhyme or reason. I will say, however, I love the current storyline. I love Christian Cage in this role. It's classic heel stuff, and he is a classic heel. Look, I'm not saying Christian Cage is the best heel in the business, but he's in the top one for me. The TBS title, I love Chris Statlander, and I think the quality of matches under her reign has been very good. That being said, I think that title could benefit a lot from being more stories as well, and not just like defenses that are built up over 1 or 2 weeks.
She's a good Jade Cargill sequel, but that's not who she should be. Tell some stories.
Tell some stories, brother. And this is the end. Thank you. Click that one. Bye.